I got to tell you, that was so. There's a few different phrases I've heard said a lot since that game ended. Listening on WIP, Twitter, TV, the whole deal. An instant classic, an all-timer. James, I heard with you on the postgame show yesterday when Jack, about an hour after the game, referred to it. And I thought this was great. An all-time Citizens Bank Park win.
Yep, couldn't agree more.
I thought that was great, right? But here's what I think it is even more than anything, honestly. It's a season saver.
Without a doubt.
The Phillies saved their season yesterday. Now, look, we'll see ultimately how far it goes. I mean, we saw a couple months ago Tyrese Maxey save his season in a Game 5, and the next day, next game, Tobias was scoreless and the Sixers lost Game 6, and it just kind of gets washed away. But there's no question as of now. It's like Westbrook's punt return, only 10 times more important because it was the playoffs. It was a season saver yesterday.
We got a new lease.
No question.
On life,
no question, man.
Like.
And look, it was imperative. Look, I don't have to tell you how you were feeling yesterday, everyone listening, because I know how you were feeling around 5:30. I was feeling it too. I mean, it was a pit in the stomach. It was an aggravation in the brain. It was a hurt in the heart. It was is this it? Is this it? Is this basically what we're getting this October? And then, Bryce Harper did what Bryce Harper did what superstars are supposed to do. He lifted his team. He frickin' lifted his team. And then, obviously, thereafter, major contributions right after from Castellanos and later in the game, Bryson Stott with the huge triple. I mean, it was just like an amazing baseball game. And obviously, we want your reaction today, 215-592-9494, for this true Phillies classic. And again, as Jack said, an all-time Citizens Bank Park win. John, your thoughts on, the whole shebang, my man? What do you got?
When Pete Alonso gave them that 3-0 lead yesterday, I was so infuriated. I was out of my mind, and it just felt like, holy cow, man. Yesterday, we wasted Wheeler yesterday, and now this. And then everything got fixed because Bryce Harper fixed it. He went out there and did his Bryce Harper thing. In the 6th inning, he ignited the offense. He was the catalyst for this offense, and then what was it? 2 pitches. Maybe it was 1 pitch. Casty, right after him, evens it up. It was awesome.
It was incredible.
Was validation. It was. Castellanos has worked so hard this season, and I was not a Nick Castellanos fan for what we saw last year. It was so frustrating, but man, he has worked his way into an awesome spot. We waited 15 innings for this offense to finally arrive in the 6th. It was 15 innings that the offense was dormant. It was some hole in the ground somewhere hibernating, and it was excruciating, but we saw the offense come alive last night, and in just a couple pitches, it feels like our hope has resurfaced because I felt like, holy cow, the worst thing in the world is happening to us. Our team is the better team, but they're cold. Our team is the better team, but the offense is never going to find itself, and we're going to miss our opportunity. Well, our offense found itself. I saw it in the home runs last night. I saw it in the small ball last night. We're moving guys. We're just putting the bat on the ball. When late in that game, when Bryson Stott, offensively, Bryson Stott, we're talking about here, puts his bat on the ball. He was not swinging for the fence. It was, hey, I got to put this thing into play to help my teammates move around the bases.
It was so big.
We just and that was so perfect down there, nestled in that corner.
Right.
Beautiful to see. It was validation for Bryson Stott. I feel good about so much about this series, except our relievers. I feel really good about the trend, the momentum, the fact that our offense arrived, and then I think about, man, Orion Kirkring just is not at all confusing
Strom
them.
especially. So, look, it is. So Rob Thompson managed this different than obviously he had the prior 2 years. That's clear. I mean, you see that in a variety of things that happened in the first 2 games, right? Obviously, I think most notably Bone being benched yesterday, but also going back a little bit to the decision before the series.
What a huge deal.
Yeah, I mean, Sanchez is going to start game 2, and I get it, but also it's a little non-traditional for Rob Thompson.
I love that he situated us like this now because, look, it stinks that they won what was essentially a bullpen game in the opener. Wheeler.
Yeah.
But this now, it does feel good knowing Aaron Nola, who knows how to beat this Mets team, is going up there to New York City.
Well,
I do support this decision now a lot more than I did prior to Game 2.
So here's the thing about the bullpen. I mean, obviously, guys got to get it together, Strom especially. And look, Jose Alvarado got downgraded significantly as time went on, but it's time for him to reemerge. I mean, first off, you can't go to Strom every game. Second off, I don't think anyone wants him in Game 3. Now, he was probably one of their 5 best players this year. Hoffman was probably one of their 5 best players this year, and both of them stunk up the joint.
Hoffman
over the weekend.
Really concerning.
I mean, they stunk up
really
the joint.
Concerning. He was so consistent, and it's just been like the last week and a half.
Look, it's time to dig Jose Alvarado out of mothballs and get him ready to go because they're going to need him at some point, but they're also going to need Strom to bounce back at some point. Now, it might not be Game 3 because he might not get into Game 3, but I mean, you're talking about a guy in Strom who was phenomenal this year. Hoffman was phenomenal this year. But look, the Phillies
were all-stars as middle relievers.
I am entirely aware. I mean, those guys were studs. You know who was a stud yesterday? Bryce Harper. So, look, phone lines open for you at 215-592-9494. Before we go any further, I want to play 4 pieces of audio. 4 critical moments from the game yesterday. Let's play them in sequence. The Phillies are down 3-0. We're all feeling, speaking of down, really down. I mean, we all know they're about a game and a half, maybe, from the season being over. And then Bryce Harper did this.
Severino's ready, and the pitch. Harper swings, drives it high and deep center field. Bader going back to the track, looking up, and it's gone off the batter's eye. 2-run home run for Bryce Harper. Straightaway center field. And there's life back in the joint. As the Phillies trail by a run, it's 3-2.
If you were down there yesterday, we want to hear from you at 215-592-9494, what it was like in the ballpark. You know, obviously, same thing if you watched on TV or radio, your experience as a Phillies fan. Not just what you think this morning, but what you feel this morning. And what you felt yesterday with the roller coaster of emotions, which really was an all-timer in Philadelphia sports in a 3-hour window. I mean, it was unbelievable. Obviously, right after Bryce, I mean, like right after him, Castellanos.
0-1. Breaking ball blasted. Game is tied. Castellanos way back to left center. Back to back for the Phillies. And it's a brand new game. 3-3 here in the bottom of the 6th.
All right, obviously at that point, it's like, wow, right? Woo. We're feeling a lot better, but we also know there's still work to be done.
Game starts. Game starts, man. It's 3-3. It's cool.
All right, so, you know, Mets come right on back, score a run, the whole deal, couple innings.
And what was that, man? That's Nimmo.
Well, especially because Kirk Green was like the first 2 outs. It was like, oh, he's on. Like, he's locked in tonight. Like, there's going to be a quick inning, and then Nimmo just pops one out.
Well, that's the thing. I was a little worried about Kirk Green because, the last time, Game 1, he didn't seem like himself. And now, man, Nimmo, that was his first playoff home run of all time. Nimmo hits a home run in a critical moment. Like, I'm thinking, 4-3, this is late. This is late, man.
So
what the heck?
Here's the good news I'll say when Nimmo hit the homer. I didn't feel gloom and doom because I'd already seen the Phillies start a comeback. So
I felt way worse at 3-0. I'm so with you, Joe.
Way worse.
Absolutely, because the offense was churning.
They were starting to work.
Like the wheels were turning.
Correct.
And the crowd was totally back into
it.
Yes.
All right, but you still got a problem. You're down 4-3, clock's ticking, so to speak, the clock, if you will. I thought the Mets made a disastrous decision pitching around Bryce Harper with nobody on base and 1 out in the 8th inning with the Mets 5 runs from winning the game. I couldn't believe they wanted no piece of Bryce. I know why they did it. I think it is a massive mistake. Obviously, a couple batters later, Bryson Stott.
Diaz goes full with Stott, the 3-2 on the way. Swung on, line down the right field line. It's fair, just inside the line. The game's tied. Castellanos into third. Dusty is waving him home. Here's the relay to the plate. There'll be no throw. Phillies lead it as the birthday boy, Bryson Stott, puts the Phillies on top 5-4.
It was so big, obviously, in the moment. You get another run of, the JT, squibber. But
let's not forget Casti. Before that, also, Casti, after Bryce walked, Casti had a huge single to right field to move Bryce to third.
Well,
so
there were
men
a couple
on
of
first
them.
and third there. In that situation, it was amazing.
Well, it's kind of like how Trey gets lost in the shuffle of this, but deserves
Big
credit
time.
for getting on base before Bryce. Right.
Both times. Getting on base for the Bryce homer and then getting on base there. Like, working that walk there, not trying to be the hero. Like, that was Trey got a lot of crap deservedly after game one. That was big stuff.
All right, let's wrap this with how they wrapped it yesterday. So after the Mets tie it, it's still tight and tense, but I still felt relatively good. You got the last at bat. The offense has come alive, and Castellanos delivered.
At 1-2 strikes, looks back at second, the pitch. Swung on, line down the left field line, and that's going to win it. Castellanos has done it. Turner is scoring, and the Phillies walk it off here in the bottom of the ninth. A Game 2 victory, 7-6, as the Phillies come racing out of the dugout, dancing around between first and second as Nick Castellanos has won the ballgame.
Look, an absolutely incredible all-time Phillies victory. And here's the deal. It becomes an all-timer times 1,000 if they win the World Series. If they win the World Series, this becomes a game we will always look back at Bryce Harper's home run and propelling them to a championship. Now, look, a lot of work to be done. They are far from out of the woods of this series. This series, to me, is still scary as hell, okay? The Mets are obviously good. The Mets are obviously fighting hard. The Mets obviously now have home field advantage. I mean, there's nothing here to be taken for granted. But the bottom line is the Phillies yesterday did a phenomenal job saving their season in an instant classic. Joe DeCamera, John Rich, your phone calls all show. 215-592-9494. Your reaction to a Game 2 thriller. Great to be with you this morning on 94 WIP.